Hello, it's Adam in the Newscast studio. It's Thursday morning at 8 o'clock, and I'm going to be sat in the studio with you for the next 25 hours. We're all going to be clocking off on Friday morning at 9 o'clock. And of course, Friday is Children in Need Day. And that's why we're here doing this ridiculous challenge of podcasting and talking about the news and catching up with our friends for 25 hours. Because a couple of weeks ago, Pudsey Bear crashed into this studio. He knocked over the microphones. He nearly trashed the place. He handed me over this envelope, which has just sat there. I opened it and it said, Pudsey challenges you to a 25-hour-long podcast-a-thon. Because, of course, all the challenges for Children in Need this year are around the number 25. Now, the good news is I'm not going to be sat here on my own just talking to you like a 25-hour-long version of Just a Minute, where I just have to fill the airtime. Throughout the next 25 hours, we're just going to do what we do in every episode of Newscast, but just a whole load more of it. We're going to catch up with members of the Newscast family, like Chris and Henry and Alex and maybe Laura, and Katch is coming back, special guest appearance by Katch Adler. And we'll also speak to other friends of the podcast that we've met along the way over the last few years while we've been doing it. And we'll call up just interesting people and find out what they're doing and what their take is on what's happening in the world. We're also going to speak to the CEO of Children in Need, Simon Antrobus, who will be telling us about some of the good work that the charity does. And I've been speaking to loads of the projects that have received money from Children in Need in the last few years. And that is so, so inspiring. And actually, one of the things that will help me do 25 hours of work is thinking about all those good projects. We need your questions and comments because loads of our colleagues are going to be answering your questions. You can email newscast@bbc.co.uk or you can WhatsApp us on 0330 123 948. We will also be joined by lots of other BBC podcasts as well, so you can hear a bit more about what they do, maybe even get some recommendations for what to listen to after you've listened to your daily episode of Newscast. And we've got a feature, because you know we love a gimmick. We're calling it Round the Clock Cast, which formally, officially, is us catching up with BBC colleagues all around the world, from China, Australia, Canada, the US. Unofficially, it's because those are the people who are going to be awake at 2 o'clock UK time in the morning, because it's a different time for them. Actually, also, I should just say in this studio that you can't see this, but there's a curtain there and a door behind it. And so when the door opens, I don't really know who's coming in. There's a real sense of suspense. And I've just heard the door open and we've got our first guest. Oh, wow. I mean, we can't beat this. It's Pudsey Bear. And Pudsey is being shown in by producer Chris, who I think is going to be here for 25 hours as well. And Chris is moving the cushion out of the way. Hello, Pudsey. How are you doing? Thumbs up, yeah? So, Pudsey, you don't use words, do you? No, we're just using gestures. That's fine for people who are watching on iPlayer, but people who are listening on BBC Sounds, because you can listen to this whole 25 hours fandango on BBC Sounds, I'll have to sort of interpret for them because they can't see. Okay, Pudsey is really going for the thumbs up. So yeah, Pudsey, I was just telling everyone about how 2 weeks ago you came in here and gave me that yellow envelope and gave me the challenge. Yes. Pudsey's doing a sort of like, slightly ashamed emoji because you realised it was quite a big challenge? Yes. Yeah. So, Pudsey, I was just explaining to everyone what the deal is. We're going to be here for 25 hours. We're going to finish on Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. I know he's covering his eyes because he's realising what a big deal that is. But then, of course, you take over because Friday is Children in Need Day. Yeah. He's dancing. And so what we're going to do throughout this whole big period is it's not just us talking and it's not just the Newscast family. We're going to hear from some of your family as well. So some of the projects that Children in Need has helped. I've been speaking to people who try and prevent violence against women and girls in Northern Ireland, music classes, people who run a mobile youth group where they go and like chat to children when they're coming home from school at points where they're really vulnerable, people who are living with like really difficult health challenges, but Children in Need has helped them. So thank you very much for putting me in touch with all of those people as well. And also, because you've got your phone number and the ways that people can donate, friend of the podcast, Zoe Ball, is going to be popping up basically every half an hour or every hour telling people how they can donate to you. Great. Enough said, Pudsey. You are bare a few words, aren't you? What's your favourite dance move, by the way? Oh, I don't know what that one's called. That one. I'm not asking. I'm looking over to my colleagues. What's that? Oh, mashed potato. Oh, that's what. Mashed potato. Of course, that's mashed potato. Can you floss? Or is that a bit old? A bit hard for you to get your arms behind your back, isn't it? Oh, he's embarrassed. Oh no, I've embarrassed Pudsey in the first 4 minutes of the 25 hours. You're probably not going to be here for the whole time, are you? He's waving his finger. No, because you've probably got other duties, haven't you? Okay, well, lovely to have you for this period. Do you want to just sit back and relax for a bit? Right. I'm going to see if we can catch up with our first member of the Newscast family. Who would you want to speak to, first of all, and also somebody who can talk for Britain about multiple subjects? It's Chris Mason. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Morning. I'm very well, thanks. More to the point, how are you? I want to know what the kind of preparation. Did you do stretching exercises before you walked into the Newscast studio? Did you sleep well last night?
Well, okay, there's a few things to address there. I've not really done any preparation other than present Newscast every day for 5 years.
Well, yeah, that's good prep.
So that is kind of good. That's a good basis. I did go. I made one concession to going to bed. I went to bed about 45 minutes early yesterday. But then I just woke up at 11. I'm like, which is my normal bedtime. I'm like, why am I in bed now? And yeah, we've basically the Newscast team, because it's not just you and me making this, like we do get help, have scoured the world for the best people to come on.
Well, this is terrific. And starting with Pudsey Bat, I mean, that is fantastic. I mean, as I was just listening there and indeed watching on the iPlayer, clearly when your first guest as high profile and A-list, particularly in this context as Pudsey Bear is, happens also to be, as you say, a bear of few words,
yes.
then it's a challenge. You know, you're going to have to hope that your contributors between now and 9 o'clock tomorrow morning are a little more verbose than Pudsey Bear.
Yeah, 25 hours of this would be... He's doing a shrug. So you do have actually very, very impressive gestures, Pudsey. You convey a lot with just a small gesture. What's that one called? Anyway, Chris, so the thing I'm actually most excited about is our round the clock cast.
Yes.
And it's because basically Lise Doucette was in here a few weeks ago, and I'm like, Lise, what are you going to be doing on Thursday the 13th of November? She's like, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to be in Canada. And I was like, no, that's perfect, because
Bingo.
2 o'clock in the morning UK will be your tea time. So
exactly right.
So that means we can hear some news from Lise. Also, the great thing about Lise is that she can talk about everything that's happening in the world.
Completely.
So we'll
that's a good couple of hours filled at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Have you ever done any kind of like children in need charity challenges?
Oh no, is this where I get roped into one for? I end up doing.
We've got a bath of baked beans for you.
yeah. No, exactly. That is emptying over my head or whatever. No, actually, this is oh dearie me. I can see the slippery slope I'm about to be thrown down here. No, I haven't. And I say that, making my little contribution at the start of your marathon and having been listening to Sarah Cox and her marathon, her marathons, literally marathons en route from, was it the Scottish borders to Pudsey in West Yorkshire, I think. Yeah. And think, gosh, my excuses might be running out to get roped into something like your marathon that you're embarking upon perhaps next year. Thing is, next year everything will start with it'll be 26. So this is even tougher.
Well, let's see how we do with 25. Oh, actually, Chris, you mentioned Sarah Cox doing her 5 marathons in 5 days with a little mini Pudsey. Luckily not full size like you, Pudsey. It's a little mini one on her back. Arriving in Pudsey in West Yorkshire fairly soon, actually. Chris, that is your part of the world, or at least she's going through a bit of your part of the world. Would you like to tell me a bit about it geographically?
Yeah, so it is sort of my part of the world, West Yorkshire, not far from Leeds. Local MP, the Chancellor Rachel Reeves. I think it's still within her patch. In fact, I think it extended into Pudsey as a result of the boundary changes. Here we go.
That's the kind of intel you want.
I'm only 9 minutes in and I'm talking about boundary changes for UK general elections, which is a most crushingly dull and predictable answer for me when asked a question about a mighty fine town in West Yorkshire and a mighty fine charitable attempt by our colleague Sarah. So it's as you know, I never miss an opportunity to shoehorn a Yorkshire reference into anything. And so when our fellow podcaster Pudsey was in that chair that he is in right now, it's I think handing over the challenge to you a few weeks ago, I couldn't help but point out that there was yet another Yorkshireman as part of the newscast, fraternity and setup, and that was obviously a very savvy hire.
Do you know what, Chris? I've just remembered a challenge you did for charity a few years ago.
Oh yeah, what was that?
When you went on Celebrity Mastermind and your specialist subject was the Yorkshire Dales.
Yes, that indeed. That was wonderful. That was, it's scary enough sitting opposite Clive Myrie on the 10 o'clock news, never quite knowing what he might ask, let alone sitting in a studio. Now, it was towards the tail end of the COVID restrictions, so the studio was empty, so there was no studio audience. But there's still the lights, and there's still the chair, and there's still the music, and then there's still the questions. And my specialist subject was the Yorkshire Dales. I did pretty well in that round. I got one question. One question wrong. Alas, general knowledge is a quite broad thing. You can't really prepare for general knowledge. No. And I have got some pretty
specific knowledge.
I've got some pretty galaxy-sized gaps in my general knowledge, through which you could drive. They're just vast. So that was I was leading as we came out of the specialist knowledge round, and I wasn't leading by the end.
Now, Chris, have you got time to hang around? Because I'm just thinking 8:10 is normally like prime Radio 4 time for you these days.
It is prime Radio 4 time. I'm keeping a vague eye on my phone just in case I'm called out. I'm sorry, Justin. I was actually embarking on a podcast marathon. What?
Do you know what, though? We are going to merge the BBC streams at various points in the next few days, because we're going to pop up doing this on other BBC outlets. So if you take a break from watching and listening to this live stream, I mean, why would you? It's such good content. And you're watching BBC Breakfast or listening to 5 Live or Morning Live on BBC One, you may see some of us popping up talking about what we're doing here. And the thing is, we will be doing it simultaneously with this live stream. So it'll be very...
And then a bit later on tonight, when we record the Thursday television episode of Newscast that goes out after Question Time on BBC One, you'll still be just rolling on, won't you? You'll just be doing... Yeah. You'll be into you'll be about 10 hours, 11 hours in by then.
So that will be on after Fiona Bruce is finished. So we then are on sort of about 11:30 till about midnight, and then I'll still have 9 hours to go after that.
Yeah, and the bit where you might just be, where your body might be saying, "Is it? Hang on, is it not time for bed?" You've got to tell me. We did talk about this briefly, I think, a few weeks ago. But look, everyone wants to know at this stage on this challenge about the sort of fundamentals in life, like comfort breaks. How do they work?
Well, I think, first of all, you want to limit your liquids. So you don't want to be like downing pints and pints of water. So that's the sort of the supply side. And then there are...
That's an even more absurd description of that than my reference to the phonology of Pudsey. I love it.
Basically, what Chris is getting at is economists talk about the supply side of the economy and the demand side. And then there are a few moments where we've pre-recorded some material where I'll be able to dash out and go to the loo.
Excellent.
The thing is, though, this is now very inside baseball. The nearest bathroom to this studio, sorry for this, everyone, is the bathroom next door to the Director General's office.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes.
And of all the weeks to bump into the Director General in the loos, this would be quite a week.
Well, particularly because it might be tempting to have a reasonable length chat, but you've got a microphone to return to in the blink of an eye.
But actually, talking about getting ready and staying limber, we've got somebody who is going to help us out right now and give us some great tips, because we're joined by voice coach Sally Lawrence. Hello, Sally.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us. Our first person on the 25-hour podcast-a-thon. You've got your place in podcasting history.
I'm very grateful. Thank you for inviting me. I'm just slightly alarmed by the thing about the water.
Okay.
Because you do need to drink all the way through this, because you've got to lubricate your vocal cords.
Okay.
So you need to drink little and often to keep making sure that your voice is really working well.
Right, this is now going to sound like we're making a Radio 4 radio drama. I'm going to unscrew my metal water bottle and take a big, very theatrical glug to reassure you, Sally.
Good. And now I'm going to ask you, you're not, are you a big chocolate fan?
I do like chocolate, but I learned very early on from some very veteran broadcasters, you should never eat chocolate if you're on the radio.
Yeah. Good.
The stickiness thing.
No, coats your larynx.
Yeah.
So you don't want to eat any dairy produce at all today.
No dairy at all?
No dairy at all. It'll make it very, very thick.
Oh.
And make speaking, as you get tired, it'll become more and more difficult to keep going. So it's difficult, isn't it? Because it's a bit like caffeine. You mustn't drink very much caffeine. Caffeine keeps you awake, woohoo, but it's not good for your voice.
Okay, the bad news is I've just had a massive cup of coffee and I had a massive bowl of porridge made with milk.
Well, that's okay. That's all right. We'll let you have that because you're talking really nicely and I can hear every word you're saying. So that's all fantastic. But what we want to do as well is, are you sitting down or are you standing?
I am sitting down, yeah.
You will need to stand up every so often and make sure that you're connected, your diaphragm's connected, that the intercostal diaphragmatic muscles are working so that you're breathing properly, so that your ribs are going in and out rather than up and down.
And so, how do I do that connection then? Is there a sort of simple way of just resetting it?
Well, what you can do is you put your hand where your diaphragm is.
Yeah.
If you feel it, see if it's working. It should push your hand gently in and out.
Yeah.
And if it's not, cup one hand onto your ribs and just try and breathe into your hand so you're filling your ribs. So the breath is really pushing into the lungs.
Oh, wow.
And that allows you to have a full, it's like running on full rather than a car running on half.
Chris, have you just been doing that while Sally was saying that? Because it's really
Absolutely
nice.
Right. Yeah, no, and excuse me, I've got a mouthful
sorry.
mouthful of bagel.
Chris is eating chocolate, isn't he? Chris has got a piece of chocolate.
It's a bit of bagel with jam on it, which is not part of my morning vocal exercise. You know what I find myself doing, and I can't resist asking this in the company of a voice coach. So when I get up first thing in the morning, often to go on the radio, because that's the nature of my job, and I'm often up before anybody else in the house. In other words, I'm not talking. I might make some phone calls, which means I'm talking, but sometimes I'm up so early, it's too early to ring anyone up. And I find myself thinking, and there's a danger, and I've definitely fallen for this, where I go on the radio and pretty much the first words I say in the day are the ones I'm saying out loud, and you can tell, can't you? Like when you ring somebody up and you've woken them up, you can tell in their voice. And so I do this thing, and I can't work out if this is a good idea, where I count to about 30 out loud, and I go through the alphabet a few times in the hope that sort of, I don't know, stretches the various vocal cord muscles, if that's the right word to use or phrase to use, to make sure that nothing sounds like I've just woken up.
That's a good thing to do, but another really great exercise to do, particularly if you live on your own or everybody else is asleep and you're not talking to anybody until you start work, and then your voice is sounds a little bit uncomfortable for you, and people are thinking, "Ooh, I'm not sure what's happening."
You just got out of bed,
yeah. What you can do is, again, connect with your diaphragm, take that breath in, really drop the breath in, fill up your lungs, and then hum. Humming is great, and you can wander around the house not annoying anybody by humming.
I don't know, I think it might. Okay.
Do you drive to work?
No. Why? Is that a good place for humming? Oh, at least
in the car. I'm in the car now. I've been humming most of the morning on my way to a job. So humming is good because also it massages your vocal cords, and vocal cords are very, very important. So we need to really take care of them. So you need to massage them with a hum, and you can play around with that hum in your mouth. And the other thing that's really good when you've just woken up is massage your face. So we don't very kind to our face. So gently, just gently. And you can do that through the day to keep yourself awake. Because what happens is our face kind of just stops working because we're focusing on everything else.
I'm going to get some funny looks on the bus in a minute, I tell you.
It's worth it, really, Chris, believe me. I mean, funny looks are, they're fine. What you need to do is also imagine you're chewing a piece of chewing gum or toffee. So you're really working that mouth. So it's really opening and over-opening. And then when you come to speak, you're much more awake and much more focused on actually what words are coming out. So you take that breath in, fill up your lungs, hum, play around with the sound in your mouth, and check that all your vocal equipment is working. Just like you would check that the equipment that you're broadcasting on is working, you check that that's working as well. And keep drinking...
Sorry to interrupt. Is it possible to talk to... I asked this for a friend, literally a friend, as opposed to for me, because it's for Adam for the next 25 hours. And maybe I should have asked this, and Adam and I should both have asked this about 25 years ago before we embarked on the very careers that we're in. Can you talk too much? Can you sort of talk to the point where your voice just gives up on you?
Yeah, you can. You can, and some of that comes from various things. It can come from the atmosphere within the room you're in. It can be a very dry atmosphere, so it can dry out your voice. It can also come from the fact that you might be very tired, you might be slightly stressed, under a lot of pressure, and the first thing that can give way is your voice.
That's like you're describing the next 25 hours.
Well, we talk about, lots of people say, the eyes are the gateway to the soul. Well, really, I think you'll find it's the voice. Because what happens with your voice, every time you do something, your voice, so if you laugh, you make a sound. If you're shocked, you can't make a sound. If you're sad, your voice changes in its pitch. So our voice is essential, and it defines us. And I think sometimes we can overuse our voice. We can be a bit cruel to it. We can take it for granted. So actually sipping water, and instead of drinking tea and coffee, maybe some lemon and honey, or a nice herbal tea, which isn't too strong, not Coke, not caffeine. Try to avoid that unless you really have to have it. And also try to avoid dairy produce. You can obviously, we all love, who doesn't love a yogurt or thick butter on toast? But just be a bit careful on a big day like today, 25 hours.
Yes.
You need to just be very kind to that voice. But you also need to make sure you're not crushing your diaphragm. So if you're broadcasting sitting down, make sure you're not leaning into the microphone all the time. So every so often stand up and adjust the microphone so that you can deliver standing up. And if you ever watch any podcasts of people doing voiceovers, most of the time they stand in front of the microphone. So it gives them full access to their ribs and their lungs.
Yeah, I'm very aware that the very stylish seats we have in the Newscast studio sometimes make me sort of slouch a little bit, which is me blaming the seats rather than my laziness. But this is making me want to sit up straighter already.
Well, if you feel that you're slouching and you're going, you get to like 20 hours, and tonight you think, oh, I'm really slouching, put a book on your head and see if you can balance it just for a couple of minutes. And if you can balance that, then you know that you're sitting up straight and you've opened up your ribs and your lungs can breathe properly again and fill up.
Do you know what, Sally? That piece of advice really got Pudsey going, because actually most of what you said is not relevant to him as a mute bear, but balancing a book on his head, I think he's quite up for that.
Good. I wish him luck, because I know his ears can be problematic, so he might have to choose the right size of book to put on his head. But it is it's a short, quick thing that you can do just to help you just kind of wake up and open up the ribs. I mean, it's all about breathing. But you do an excellent job anyway, so I don't think you're going to have a problem.
Oh, full marks. Sally, thank you so much for all that very
Pleasure.
wise advice, which is going to be ringing in my ears for the next 24 and a half hours. So thank you very much for getting us off on such a good start.
Enjoy those 25 or 24 hours now.
Thank you, Sally, and good luck with the rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right, Pudsey, I hope you enjoyed that detailed session on how to speak and look after your voice. Send me a thumbs up from Pudsey.
Audience-focused content from
Pudsey,
the start.
I know you've got many, many, many calls on your time, so I'm going to let you go, and producer Chris is going to come out and help you get out of the studio, just so you don't trash it like you did last time when you came in and knocked everything over. Right, Pudsey is gracefully getting out of the chair. Oh, he's really connecting with his diaphragm there. That's great. Yep, filling his lungs with his hands. Right, while Pudsey goes, Henry Zeffman arrives. Hi, Henry.
Hello, Adam. And thank you, by the way, for letting me listen to that, because a lot of that, I mean, not that it's a competition, but as someone who wakes up even earlier than Chris and has even fewer people willing to speak to me on the phone at that time of day, I am now going to spend ages just massaging my face.